Hey everyone, it's Ashley Angeline Kumar, the Confidence Coach. We are here for video number, what is this, like video number 5? Let's double check. Let me check. Where we go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Video number 5. So this is great because now we're moving into the ages and stages, information, social emotional lens about child development for the age 15 to 18, which I guess you could call middle adolescence, because kids' brains are not fully matured and developed until age 25 plus. So that's why we want to call it middle adolescence. This is not they're an adult now. If the brain doesn't fully mature until age 25 plus, we got to kind of think of that as that they're still developing right up until age 25 and sometimes beyond depending on the child. So we're going to call it middle adolescence. And so let's take a look at some of the characteristics of this age group and some of that implications and applications of how we can approach our parenting and support kids in this, whether you work with them or not, support kids in this age group for whatever's happening for them, right? So in this age group, kids have a high social needs and high personal desires. Okay, so what we can do, knowing that they have high social needs and high personal desires, is avoid taking it personally when the child chooses to spend more time outside of the home, outside of the family. This is really an important time for self-exploration, and hopefully we have done some of the foundational work before this age to really give them the skills to handle peer pressure, to make healthy decisions and all that kind of stuff, which is something I get to do as a coach and help support kids and families to develop some of these skills early in life and understand the implications of their choices on not only themselves, the long-term future for themselves, but also the people around them and their families. So we want to be able to have that foundation in place before this age group. Now, if you don't have that foundation in place, it's never too late. So just to put that out there. So we want to be able to, since they have high social needs and high personal desires, and they're really developing a self of who they are as an adult as they grow into adulthood, we want to be able to put emphasis on personal development, mental and social, when possible. But what does that mean? Are we popping in opportunities for them to develop mental and social wellness? And what does that look like at this age group? It's going to look different than when they were little kids, right? We're not doing play dates anymore. We are letting them explore their social life. We are letting them explore their mental terrain. And I think what's really important here for parents is to be open to hearing what's going on for them. Okay, are we emotionally available? And sometimes parents have this idea, and I've heard it too. Parents say it to me, like, "Oh, it's going to get easier. It's going to get easier," because kids have high needs when they're young. But I don't believe that changes through the teenagers. In fact, I believe teenagers have even higher needs because they're facing so many changes in life, body, hormones, all those things, and looking at post-secondary, there's a lot that they are navigating. Therefore, they are still in a situation where they have high needs. It's just not. It's going to look different than when they were little babies or toddlers. So some of the things we can do that are more explicit is, are we spending time together, and how are we putting that in place? How are we getting collaboration and buy-in from the child for spending time together? And in that time, whatever time it is, it's not going to be quantity time because they're going to have more social outside of the home interests. So whatever time we have with the child, what kind of quality time are we creating? What's happening in that time frame that we are, as parents, are intentionally cultivating connection with the child, intentionally looking for opportunities to inquire about, without being invasive, about what's going on for them mentally, emotionally, and socially. Right? And are we an open, safe landing space for whatever's going on, withholding judgment? This age group is very susceptible. I think all age groups are susceptible to judgment, and which is why that's something we want to refrain from. But this group is susceptible to judgment because they're facing so much of it in so many different areas of their life. So, we can be watching movies that are related to social, mental, emotional, and health. Are we, popping books into the environment that talk about social, mental, emotional health, wellness, growth mindset, all these different topics? And we, as parents, what are we modeling for our children in terms of mental health, social health, emotional wellness, and self-care, and all these pieces? Modeling it because this is the time when they are growing from a child into adulthood. And so whatever influences they're being exposed to and seeing is going to impact how what they pick up as habits, tools, how they see us as parents as well. Okay. They have a want and a need for a strong voice in planning what's going on in their life, whether it be planning trips, whether it be planning extracurriculars, whether it be planning for school or post-secondary projects, all these things. So something I offer to parent clients is solicit your child's opinion. Solicit your child's opinion. When kids are teenagers, there's so much happening, and sometimes parents get really firm on their rules and get really strict with, different boundaries. And parents are coming from a place of intention based on safety. And yet, how are we cultivating that? Is it hard-handed authoritarian parenting, or are we getting collaboration and buy-in from our teenager? Soliciting our child's opinion helps them feel heard, seen, valued, and like they matter. And this is important because we want our children to grow up believing in the power of their own voice. So instead of dictating or telling or giving, really firm rules and having a rigid routine at home or providing a lot of instruction, perhaps we can move towards suggestions and offering alternatives instead. Okay, kids in this age group also have a need for freedom from parental control to make decisions. So it's the same idea. We want to give them awareness that there are situations they're going to face where they need to make decisions for themselves or a group like themselves. Maybe they're the leader of something. Okay, so we have to exercise that muscle, that decision-making muscle, before this age happens. And in this age group, continue to give them opportunities to make decisions around this, around themselves, around even family-related things, from vacations to boundaries to rules to collaborating on those things. They want leadership roles, but in my opinion, this starts at age 10, 12. Kids really look for leadership roles. So this doesn't necessarily change, but what we need to think about is, how are we are there opportunities for leadership roles? And if there isn't, what are we going to do? How are we going to influence that piece positively? And we can give them leadership roles firstly within the home and within the family. And then we can also look outside of that what are the opportunities to take on leadership roles? We want to be able to emphasize the ability to ask for help and making it okay to ask for help. Something that's really celebrated in our society is individualism. You can do it on your own. You can do it on your own. We really celebrate that from a young age. And what I offer to parents is celebrate your child when they ask for help. Be like, yeah, you asked for help. Awesome. I'm super happy that you had the courage to ask for help. I want to celebrate that with you, or whatever words you want to choose that resonates with you. But as they're going into leadership roles, there's still a lot that they're navigating. And so we want them to know that getting counseling, getting support, getting help from others, adult leaders who maybe have done this before, or professionals, is completely okay, and it's celebrated, in fact. And discussion. Are we facilitating healthy, open dialogue and discussion in our home whenever we get the opportunity? Because there might be limited time now as they're exploring their social life. But are we exploring open dialogue in our family? Or are we, as parents, shut down? Or are we afraid of some of the topics that we might have to brace with our teenager? Okay. They're interested in co-educational activities, so this is a given. So we want to be able to facilitate that and continue to talk about personal safety, personal wellness as we do that. They have a strong desire for status in their peer group. So this could look different for every child. Some just want to be accepted and belong in a certain particular peer group. And some want to be the leader of a group. So every child is different. So we want to talk to our kids about, who are we spending time with and what are they facilitating? Do they align with our values? Do they promote mental and social wellness and health, emotional wellness, or are we feeling pulled down by the group that we're with? So because we're, I'm going to say tribal people, we have a desire to belong. This is where status in a peer group can really take a wrong turn. There's a possibility for taking a wrong turn here. And sometimes that might happen. And this is okay. Our kids are exploring, pushing boundaries, checking, seeing, understanding, and they might take a wrong decision. And we need to make space for failures. We need to make space for mistakes. We need to make space for things going wrong for the child, things going wrong for the child that impacts the family too. And how do we show up when things go wrong? Are we condemning, putting them down, belittling, or are we showing up with, okay, let's talk about this. Let's understand this better. Let's figure out what happened here, what was the impact, and now what are we going to do about it? That's something I learned from one of my coaches is talk about the what, talk about so what, which is the impact, and now what? What's the plan from here? Cool? And getting the child's collaboration in that as we're doing that. Okay, they might be narrowing their areas of interest. They're becoming more defined in what they'd like to do, whether that be subjects in school, whether that be extracurriculars. So this is okay. And have we allowed space for the child to do that? Or are we still projecting on them, no, you need to continue this particular activity. I'm not going to let you quit. Or, projecting our own desires or what we might have missed out on as children on them. So if we didn't do well in math, we might be harping on them to do well in math, right? For example, and physics or science or whatever the subjects is. But the challenge is that this takes the child away from their own strengths. So strengths-based self-understanding is super important. And when we communicate to our kids that, yeah, you're good at this, but what about all these different things down here? You got to get good at those too. What are we encouraging? We end up encouraging perfection all around. Like you're doing good here, great, yeah, that's awesome. But we also got these 7 other things that you could do better at. That's possibly true, but is it necessary? Or can we really celebrate our child's strengths? So that's something to consider when they are starting to narrow down their personal interests and it's becoming more defined. And with that, we can give them opportunities to explore depth in what they do have interests in, rather than width. We can go into depth. So we can look for opportunities for that to happen. They are reaching higher levels of abstract thinking and problem solving. They are choosing purposes, creating intentions, carrying out plans, and then evaluating the results. So what we want to be able to do is give our children opportunities for problem solving and allow space for failure. Allow them to discover ideas and make decisions with confidence, and evaluate and discuss, is there room for discussion in our family about the results and the outcomes. And here's something I offer to all my parent clients. Let's focus on the decision instead of becoming attached to the outcome. Sometimes as parents, we get really attached to what the outcome is of a decision that our child made, and we really harp on that. And what I want to offer parents is, let's focus on the decision. What kind of decision did the child make? Sometimes it's not the right one. Sometimes it's the one that causes more challenges. And sometimes it's the one that creates more ease or peace or flow or whatever for the child. Focus on the decision and talk about that and reduce our attachment to the outcome. And this is important because sometimes kids can really define who they are as a human being based on their results of their performance. And this is compounded in the schooling system where we are graded and assessed based on the outcomes of our effort. So as parents, we can help to balance that in their lives when we are focusing on kind of removing some of the attachments to the outcome of a certain thing. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions, call me, message me, and we'll get more specific for you. They might have widespread feelings of inadequacy. And this makes so much sense, right? Like, we're leaving childhood, we're going to adulthood, we're not really a child, we're not really an adult yet. And we're not exactly sure about life right now. And I remember back to my time at this age, and it was like, it's like going through the motions to try to get through life at that time. So there can be feelings of inadequacy, and so we want to be able to encourage youth to see their strength, to see their worth, to see the good they bring into the world, to recognize their contributions. And I want to just pop in negativity bias. Negativity bias is a cognitive bias we are all born with thanks to evolution. And in order to combat negativity bias, the ratio of positive to negative comments, interactions, feedback we want to offer our children is 5 to 1. So 5 positive interactions to every 1 negative one. So if you've got 1 negative feedback, try to offer 5 positive throughout the day or whatever it might be. So we want to continue to cultivate their self-esteem. They're beginning to know themselves as an individual. Their personal philosophy begins to emerge, which is cool. This is where we can take interest in our child. Like, ooh, I love your thought process on that. And you can see that the words I'm using is not, I love how you, loving the characteristics. I'm offering them appreciation of their process. I love your thought process on that. And we want to be able to allow them time and opportunities and diverse opportunities to explore and express their personal philosophies on life. We want to use activities and experiences that allow them to do that. They're getting a more understanding of developing the impact on community, their impact on community. So community consciousness. This is a great time to introduce, if you haven't already, I personally believe in introducing it much earlier, but great time to bring in more community consciousness, more community awareness, activism, standing up for certain things that are going on in the world, possibly standing up for certain groups of people that need a voice. So we want to be able to offer them opportunities for that. And are we making space for talking about those things at home? They are developing a growing concern for the well-being of themselves and other individuals in their life. So they might take on, like, I know especially the female species takes on some of the energy of some of their female friends, whatever the female friend is struggling with. And they really want to be able to help those people. And at the same time, we want to encourage them to help themselves too. We can help others better when we ourselves are in a good place. So we want to encourage that helping others is great, and also remembering to help ourselves. So we want to be able to encourage their interest in discussion of community and world problems that they might express concerns with, or concerns with friends. And are we making space for that to happen? Or are we commenting like, that's not your problem, you don't have to deal with it? Because perhaps they are taking on that energy, and what we want to be able to do is offer them the skills to manage that. Are they taking on more than they can truly choose or control, let's say? Or are they in a place where they can see that friend, see that person struggling, and do something empowered from that? Or are they taking that energy into their system and letting it bring them into a deeper, darker place? So we want to see and add skills of observation for parents, super, super important, and remaining attuned with our children as they grow, super important. Okay, they need life planning guidance. That's why they have guidance counselors in high school, right? Except people always, I remember kids rolling there, oh, guidance counselor, got to talk to the guidance counselor. And I think the approach the guidance counselors use does matter. I think there are some great guidance counselors out there, and then there's some that are a little more old school and may not bring the, modern approaches that kids relate to. So, they might be getting that at school, but can we truly 100 or 1,000% rely on that? What are we offering to them that allows them to plan for their life? Are we talking about a vision? Are we talking about goals? Are we talking about how to achieve those things and what skills we need? And we're talking about skills and cultivation of skills. So we want to be able to include activities that we get to do and information regarding life planning. What are they plans that they get to do for their life? What is their vision? I work with kids on this at a young age, really, really young age, because I want to plant the seeds for that. When we have direction and vision in our life, we feel like more anchored. We feel like we have a purpose and a place and an intention, and we feel less like we're lost and wandering in our teenage years if, someone has cultivated these ideas and concepts with us when we were younger. So again, if you haven't done that with your children when they were younger, we can still do it now. And, if you reach out to me for support, I can help support with that as well. They are thinking of, college, employment, relationships, all the adult things. They're not quite an adult yet, but they are thinking about them. So we want to be able to offer them skills. Now, I truly believe in creating a foundation from a younger age, but we want to offer them financial management skills, household skills, cooking skills, perhaps real tangible life skills that they're going to need out there when they're on their own. And why we want to start on those early is because we want to create confidence. And how does confidence happen? When we do something healthy and positive over and over again, we get strong neural pathways in our brain for that. The stronger the neural pathway, the more confident we are in doing that particular skill. So we want to be able to offer those pieces. When they turn 18, they're going to start filing taxes. And I remember how overwhelmed I was when I had to do it the first time, and thank goodness they have programs to do that with. But this is, my kids are 5 and 3, and I sometimes talk to them about taxes, and I'm like, what are taxes? Well, that's what helps to pay for hospitals and public roads and schools. But this gives them more concrete, more in-depth knowledge and information that they are going to be navigating in the real life world when they're on their own. So we are giving them opportunities for that. And this sounds like a lot for parents to do. You can outsource a lot of these things. There are financial planning courses for teens. There are life skills courses for teens that you can take a look at. So there are options, parents. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed like, oh my God, this is a lot. It is a lot for raising kids, period. And there are, ways to outsource. Okay. They will want to, explore possibly, and different ethnic communities and different communities in the world might have a different philosophy around, leaving home to explore, whether that be travel, whether that be leaving home to study in a different state, simply to just have the life experience of being on their own and studying on their own, self-reliance, self-responsibility, all those pieces really start to sink in. And they may not return to their home community to be back with mom and dad. So this can be really, 15 to 18, when 18 and they graduate high school, can be a huge thing for parents if children decide to leave the home. So these are discussions we don't want to leave right till the end moment. These are discussions we want to talk about and facilitate and mentally prepare for, both as parents and for the child. We want to be able to introduce them to other settings other than home. And again, I believe cultivating that from a younger age, so that when they are going to go and explore out there, they feel a little more confident than they would if they hadn't had those opportunities to explore. Okay, they might have an interest in travel and adventure. Makes sense to me because they're developing their self-identity. And part of that is really exploring the world, because now I'm more capable. I'm more closer to being an adult. I can handle things on my own. And we want to be able to encourage that. And this is really hard for some parents, especially parents of different ethnic minorities, to let our children go and explore. And I can help support parents with that piece, having been, one of those kids who did get to do that a little bit, but was still, I straddled North American culture and a conservative Indian culture as well. So I kind of have both worlds to refer to. So with this age group that has this innate desire for adventure and travel, have we been cultivating that? And have we been cultivating it in a family setting? Right? Because we want to be able to do that with our family too. And it's not just you out there solo, because that can feel very disconnecting and alienating even for both child and parent. So if we have cultivated this from a younger age, and we encouraged adventure and exploration, then this doesn't feel so foreign anymore for both the parent and the child. We want to offer them, opportunities to explore and be adventurous. This can be hard for parents who are protective in their nature. We want to protect our kids from danger. We want to protect them from things going wrong. And what we get to do and learn to do as parents is manage ourselves, manage our feelings, manage our thoughts, and find a way to encourage our children to explore while also re-emphasizing the ability to make healthy choices. And part of that includes developing skills around that, life skills generally, and then skills around making healthy choices for themselves. And again, cultivating all this from an early age will be helpful so that when your child is 15 to 18 years old, they are already feeling confident in who they are, already feeling confident in their adventurous spirit, knowing they can handle it, whatever adventure brings to the table. Knowing that they have confidence in their ability to make decisions, knowing they have confidence in general life skills, that they can manage their finances. So if they're traveling, backpacking across Europe, they can manage their finances because we provided them the opportunity for developing those real life skills ahead of time. So hopefully this is making sense. I wanted to do this special video because I run across a lot of parents who are developing more expectations of their children than the child can developmentally handle. So I wanted to do this series, and I'm glad I did it. And I just want to re-emphasize one more piece here, that even though I'm stopping at age 18, the child brain continues to develop until age 25 plus. And so although they have these different developmental pieces that are happening by age 18, that doesn't mean they don't still need us. They will still need us, and what we get to do as parents is find out more about our child and what they actually need, get attuned with their emotions, understand their mental terrain, create connection, and continue to be their safe space. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully the series has helped with this video. So check out videos 1 through 4. This is video 5. And let me know what you thought. So I've gone through the different ages and stages with a social emotional lens and real life applications and implications. And I hope you enjoyed the series. And if you are looking for support, feel free to reach out. I will you can look at my website, which I've popped into the description of this video. Okay. Thank you for watching.